let's move on to the last section around fundraising pains. And it's something that almost all startup founders go through. So let's start at the top. What investor questions make you roll your eyes?
This doesn't happen with the great investors, but there's a lot of investors who seem to have a chip on their shoulder and want to prove to you in the first couple minutes of the call that they're super smart. I should be impressed by them. They're big players or something. And they do this by asking a question that isn't really a question at all. It's just meant to assert dominance. And if you're someone like me, you're just like, okay, sure, let's move on. Let's get past that.
Right. What would be an example of that question in your world? Does something come to mind?
Usually it's a question that comes in the form of like, well, everyone knows blah blah blah. How are you going to solve for blah blah blah? That has almost no relation. Like, let's just say, maybe it's like the hot thing is LLMs right now, right? So it's like everyone knows that LLMs are going to displace claims handling insurance. So how is Coverage Cat solving that problem? And you're just like, well, got a long way to go. It's gonna be a long journey, and who knows quite how it's gonna work out.
Yeah, I resonate with that. Having gone through fundraising, being a YC company, what did you learn about the process that no one had told you before?
I think I had unfairly believed that venture capitalists are an extremely homogenous group. And therefore, if you don't have the pitch that works for the perfect kind of investor, then it's never gonna work. But it turns out, in my experience, investors are all over the map. They're human people, and they have many different, extremely different philosophies that some of them couldn't possibly even articulate because they themselves don't recognize what prejudices them and what doesn't. And so I would say, if you're striking out with a lot of investors, if you're striking out with all the investors, that's a really bad sign. But if you're striking out with a lot of investors, that might be okay. And there may still be people who are interested in funding you. You just haven't run into them yet.
It's really encouraging. I think so often people look at Silicon Valley and venture capital and they think of it as a very homogenous group of people. But I do resonate with you don't need to, it's all about finding the right investors that understand your space.
That said, like if you work your way down Sand Hill Road and get a no from everyone on Sand Hill Road, maybe you should stop working your way down Sand Hill Road. Like if you're dead set on, oh, I'm only going to take money from these people, that you've created a limitation for yourself, and those people are going to be a more homogenous set.
Mm. Let's talk about fundraising as a first-time founder. Just how bad is it? Bad is like how tough was it? How did you stay sane throughout that time? And we're recording this.
I took around 110 meetings in our seed fundraise over the course of about 6 weeks. And so if you're not willing to get on the phone with strangers and basically have the same conversation 110 times, I don't think you're ready to like. Oh, but by the way, some people they get whatever preempted by Sequoia, and they never make one phone call, and there's $10 million in the bank. That wasn't me. If you're one of those people, congratulations, more power to you. Please go spend more time making your company great. Fundraising is a chore. It is a thing that we must do to survive, and you have to be willing to do what it takes so that your employees get paid and so that the company continues to function.
How did your co-founder support you during that time?
It's going to sound really stupid, so don't take this the wrong way. But my co-founder, who I love super dearly and is a wonderful human being, among the many things he did, he would cook me lunch on days that I just had like 10 investor calls, which sounds so dumb, but it really helped.
I love it. I think this is a story you should share more often.
It makes it sound like the ultimate, plebeian. Really the truth. You don't have time to eat. You don't have time to cook. So it was a great help.
Talk about a partnership. And last one, what was the craziest valuation you've seen during a seed stage recently? And what do you think about just that whole concept?
The headline appeal of insane seed valuations, which you still see, which you're seeing constantly, even after the downturn here. the big numbers culture is the worst part of the scene. I think it encourages people to chase valuations that cannot make sense and is ultimately a disservice for the company, the people who are working on the thing, and probably to a reasonable goal. Like, if you're saying that this company is going to be worth trillions of dollars in the next 2 years, I mean, that's just, I think we can all agree that's false, right? And I've seen some pretty crazy promises that are, of course, made possible because there are investors willing to believe that dream is true. Maybe it will happen. Maybe I'll get proven wrong. But most of these lottery tickets, unfortunately, could have been good companies at smaller sizes, and instead are getting all trying to lick the same cookie and pretending that cookie will be $1 trillion.
Max, ton of fun. I wish we had more time to dig into all things American healthcare, but maybe another time. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much. Great to chat.